My name is Pat Small. We moved to Priddy in 1950 when my father took over the farm managership of Wellington Farm. I was then sent to Priddy School, which was quite a change as I came from a big school in Bristol.
My name's James Small. I attended Priddy Primary School from 1980 until 1986.
I'm Jenny Davis, and I was employed at Priddy School as, firstly, a clerical assistant from 1975 until 2003.
What are some of your strongest memories from Priddy?
The milk used to be brought up in a milk can from one of the farms. The toilets were the outdoor sort that had to be emptied once a week. There was no real heating in the school bar the big iron cast stove in the school.
Lunches came up in the minibus, so we used to be collected for a minibus from out around the surrounding areas, and then the bus was used to bring the school dinners in, and then when we were taken home in the afternoon, I can always remember the bus stinking of the school dinners that was been brought up earlier that day. I used to have packed lunches occasionally because I didn't like the school dinners so much, and I seem to remember we had two dinner ladies, and they used to rule the room with a rod of iron, as I seem to recall, that they would go around and make sure that all the children who had packed lunches had to eat their sandwiches first. You may have had a chocolate bar in there, but you were not having it until you'd eaten your sandwiches, and they made sure every child ate their sandwiches before they ate anything else out the lunchbox.
It was a very small job to start with. I did 5 hours per week, which was 2.5 on a Monday morning to take the dinner money and 2.5 on a Friday morning to balance a form that had to be filled in and sent to County Hall. And the only other job was an occasional letter that went home to parents. So it was a very, very small job. I also helped with if they went on an outing or sports day or the Christmas plays. And then gradually, as the time went on, I was given more hours, and it was a very small school, as you know, and we were all like one big family. And although I was employed as clerical assistant, if a child had fallen down, it came to me and I had to put plaster on their knees or wherever they hurt. So really, small staff, we were all jack of all trades.
So Pat, you were only there a couple of months, so yeah. What sort of triggered that?
I didn't like country dancing, and the school teacher, she said I had to sit in the corner and read. I sat back and read. I was quite happy about that until one of the dancers in the maypole hurt her foot, and she told me I had to take her place. Well, there was sort of like a bit of an argument went on, and then the outcome was she asked my mother, thought it'd be better if I left the school. So I went down to Wales before I took the 11 plus. But I made a lot of friends in Priddy, and they were all down Wales afterwards. Not in the same boat, but we all got that down there. I still know most of them, well, we still do.
The worst thing about the job was we had to use a printer. We didn't have photocopiers, and it was an ink printer. It was so messy. I used to get in a terrible muddle, and it used to take me all day to print off a letter, and I was only employed for the morning. And then it went to a stencil duplicator, which was much cleaner, until eventually we had photocopiers.
James, I've been told a little story about cider. Now, would you care to enlighten us?
Well, it's all grossly blown out of all proportion. It was apparently somehow or another some cider had gotten into my drinks bottle into school, and one of the teachers had found it when we were having lunch. I mean, I can't say that I could remember putting it in my bottle, but maybe it was. Anyway, that got tipped away apparently, and a strict letter went back home with my parents as well. I think it was probably in the phase when I was just trying to maybe sort of make my own lunches slightly or do things. I used to take chitlin in as well sometimes and eat that for lunch.
What age were you when this came about?
Oh, golly. Probably around about 8 years old, something like that. So yeah.
You're quite a young cider drinker then?
Yeah, well, it makes sense, doesn't it? Can't trust the water.